Yes. Testing, testing. 1, 2. I'm so glad to have you with us. Here we are every Tuesday evening at.
Yeah.
Just checking that for you, sweetie. Get the sound. Hey, family.
Hi, family.
Here we are every Tuesday at 8:30, back again with advice for life. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving having you here every Tuesday. It's a blessing. It's a privilege to be with you and to share these relationship truths. And what I love about it is that I know that we're speaking from a place of reality.
Right.
And not from just a place of reading a book or, figuring like I'm trying to figure it out. So what's so beautiful about this is that the family comes and you join us. So a lot of you're already starting to join. We come together as a family and you come on and you give comments, and your comments are valuable. Your comments add to the equation, to the sauce. Because I made some mean lasagna. I make the meanest lasagna,
and
y'all.
He's been talking about it ever since.
You can ask anybody out there. I make the meanest lasagna out there. I'm trying to find my scroll. Can you find that for me, babe?
What is it?
The Facebook Live scroll, so I can see who's joining us, and if you can hit the other piece too when you get a chance. So look, I make the meanest lasagna. I'm telling you, you want my lasagna. Matter of fact, you would call me Al Don Corazon. The Al of your heart. My lasagna is mean. And so in a lasagna, your ingredients are important. Mm-hmm. How you mix your ingredients, how the level that you cook the meat, and all the spices and all the things you as a Facebook family community, and also on YouTube, as a YouTube, my YouTube people are joining me. You create that dynamic. You add to the sauce that is advice for life. Right. I love your comments. I love how you encourage the people that are there. How you make comment for the people who are making comments on towards the program and the dynamic. And remember, you can get a lot more of this. What we're giving here is just kind of a precursor. They're just little nuggets, but we have a lot of trainings on our website, and that's on advice4life.us, advice4life.us, and we have a podcast, an array of video shows that you can listen to, that you can follow us. You can listen to it in your car on your way to work. And if you're just working and you're trying to listen to something while you're working, you could do that. You could, while you're working out, on your way to church. And we say that a lot, on the way to church. So you can do that. Also join me on YouTube. We're now going to be streaming from Facebook and YouTube.
Nice. And
that's going to be very powerful because that's kind of I believe the up and coming medium, even though YouTube's been around forever and longer than Facebook Live, but they both now do live broadcasts. And so I think that's powerful. And as I told you, we're moving into doing a very powerful trailer with our couples. So you want to stay with us. You don't want to miss any Tuesday. We're going to start back up in this spring in our couples, and we're actually doing a trailer for a TV program, so you don't want to miss that. And
yes.
I'm reminding you to follow me on YouTube and follow me on Facebook. I'm going to be doing this series on your relationship with money. I promise you will not regret it. It will change your life, and it will change your financial life. And the people that know me, who are around me, know that God has given me a special insight and ability as it relates to, and I see some thumbs up there, people that know me, a special insight and ability as it comes and as it relates to finances. And I just want to make sure my sound is good. So if we're sounding good to you, it sounds like we're coming through pretty good. So if we're sounding good to you there on my audience out there, please give me some thumbs up and some hearts. I see some people coming on. Thank you for that recognition, for that acknowledgement. And remember, you are part of this. You can help promote this. This program becomes keeps its life by you. We can't keep it alive. And trust me, I'm not going to sit here every week if nobody wants to hear it. So I know a lot of people want to hear it. I hear your feedback. I hear your calls. I see your messages. It's a blessing. It's encouraging to us. But right now, you can go into the left-hand corner of your device and hit share. And I say share. It's fair. It's only fair that you share, that you promote, that you help get the word out and let people know that you're blessed by Advice for Life. And so you can go down to the left-hand corner, hit the share, the square that says share, and it will go out to the people that you know, and they will know that you're with us. And a lot of times people will join us. Also remember, those of you who are listening and watching us, but you don't make a comment, we don't really know that you're there. I know some people like that, but I like you to just peep in once in a while. Just give a shout out. Just let us know. I know you're there because there's a certain amount that I see come on, and then we go into a place where, there's like hundreds of people that have been watching it.
Right.
So I really would like you to help be part of that joining, and we love new people. I see Angela, she always steps up to the table. She's the first one at the table. Thank you, Angela,
Hi, Angela,
for being so supportive. And then Michael Johnson, my brother, hey, God's son, you. Good to have you. Good to see you seeking and searching for the knowledge, that Advice for Life. There's Wanji. Hey,
Juan.
That's my baby girl, North Carolina, representing. Love it. And oh, my cousin Daniel.
Wow.
My cousin Daniel Laws. Nice. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for sharing. I'm glad you're here. And there's my brother, Dr. Warren Jackson, a powerful pastor here in Florida. He's in Florida and doing a wonderful work. And Christina, there she goes. That's my girl. She dances.
Stacy.
Stacy. Hey, Stacy. How you doing, sweetie? Good to see you. And Tracy is back. Hi, Aisha and Al. Hashtag Advice for Life. Tracy, you've been missing. We missed you the last couple of weeks. And I was thinking about it. I said, if Tracy stops following us, we're in trouble. I'm shutting it down. If Tracy stops following us, we're shutting it down because we've lost. We've lost it. So thank you for the thumbs up and the hearts. Hey, y'all. I love it. I love to see my folks here. And that's Stacy.
Stacy Gopal.
Yeah. Hey, Stacy. I thought that was my cousin Stacy.
She's on there too.
Oh, she is. Okay. Hey, Stacy. Good to see you, sweetie. Nice. I see my family joining. I love the hearts and thumbs up as we start and we present this show. We really, it's amazing as we're going through. It's so many things that we probably could talk about.
Right.
But we're really trying to ask God to give us what is really needed in that moment. And so as I was just meditating, I was thinking about the fact that most of the time when people are in relationship, they have a paradigm that says that if you give 50% and I give 50%, that is going to be a true partnership. That is what I think is necessary for us to be successful. And unfortunately, God has a different way of looking at things.
Right.
If you look at the principles of God, he says give instead of take. Mm-hmm. He says listen instead of talk. He says if somebody slaps you on your cheek, he didn't say hit him back on his cheek. He says you turn the other cheek. Mm-hmm. So the principles of God, and I believe that the bottom line, if you don't follow the order and the rules of the God of the universe, how do you expect to be successful in anything in life? And so his principles are really counterintuitive sometimes. So it actually sounds more logical. Like if I was to do a case in a court, I think I would win better by going to court and saying, this person's going to pay 50% and this person's going to pay 50%. Mm-hmm. That sounds more logical. But if you remember in the story of Solomon, when there was a complaint between two women and both women were claiming that this baby belonged to them. And so King Solomon was watching them argue and fuss, and he had the baby in his hand, and they're arguing and fussing, and one saying, no, you stole it from me at night. The other one said, no, you know that's my baby. You only took mine because yours died. And so they're fussing. And so what he did is he took the baby and he sat it in the between both of the women, and he told one of his guards to get out his sword, and he says, I want you to cut this baby in half. And everybody in the room got silent, and the women stopped arguing, and they're both looking and they're turning around and, you know, mesmerized. And he says, no, I told you, I want you to cut this baby in half, give half to this woman, give half to the other woman. And when the guard put his hand up, King Solomon said, when I lower my hand, I want you to cut that baby in half. And before he could lower his hand, the one woman said, no, stop. Mm-hmm. No, King, I'd rather for you to give the baby to her. And so Solomon looked, and he looked at the woman that raised her hand and told him not to cut the baby. And he said, give the baby to her. Give 100% of that baby to her, because she was willing to sacrifice to not have that baby killed and taking part of it. And so he gave her the whole part. And it's the same principle that we're going to begin to talk about, that God doesn't think in 50-50. He thinks in whole.
Right.
You bring your whole self. You give all that you have. You give all your faith, all your trust, and then believe and trust that God will cover you. He will provide the thing that's necessary. He will give you ultimately the prize.
Right.
He will give new birth to you if you have that principle in your heart.
Amen to that. That's awesome. And I think that's absolutely true. I mean, honestly, you want to give your all in everything you do. You have to put your best efforts forward. And if it's 50-50, then somebody's counting. Somebody's counting.
Okay, Aisha, did y'all hear what she just said? Mm-hmm. That is so powerful. Somebody's counting. Oh my God.
Somebody's counting. And if you're counting, then you're not giving yourself freely. You're one-upping. So then that means that when someone in the relationship, either side decides, well, I got up early and dealt with the kids yesterday, so it's your turn.
It's your turn.
Instead of it being everybody desires to give their own.
Right. And it might be that person's turn. And the question is not whether it was their turn or not. It's what you decide to do, how you allow your character to respond to it being their turn, because you're right. Mm-hmm. But as we've talked about before, you can be absolutely right, but absolutely wrong.
Absolutely wrong. Mm-hmm.
So what good is it to be right in order for you to obtain and get wrong?
Right.
So your character, your response. See, this is what I really want to get into with this, baby. That everything that we're doing, every interaction, every process that's happening is really about God trying to conform us and make us into his image. Mm-hmm. To make us more like him, so that we become the light of the world, the light of the people that are around us. And when you become the light, darkness has to leave.
Right.
It's expelled, and people become transformed in the light. So you affect people when you are able to respond in a certain way that's different than our natural response. Mm-hmm. You know, our natural response is to repay evil for evil and good for good. Mm-hmm. And Jesus said, okay, let's check this out. Let's see. Let's weigh this out. Let's take your 50-50, all that stuff you do. Okay. So 50-50, you know, those that you only do good to those who do good to you. You only respond a certain way to people who respond that way to you. He said, what thankfulness do you get for that? Why would that impress anybody? And especially, why would that take my attention as the God of the universe? He said, because even unbelievers give to those who give to them. They love those who love them. They pray for those who pray for them. So what does it really take for you to respond in that way? There's no character really needed to be nice to somebody that's nice to you. I mean, actually, you would be a pretty evil person if somebody's nice to you and you're mean to them.
Right.
So it doesn't take a lot of insight, spiritual depth. It doesn't take much to do good to those who do good to you. So Jesus says, I want to give you another way. He flipped it. He says, this is different. This is not how you would think about it. It's not natural in your heart. It's natural for you when somebody slap you to slap them back. It's natural for you when somebody treats you bad to treat them bad. He said, but I want you to go and become supernatural, above the natural, higher, elevated, higher than the natural. So when someone is cruel to you, I want you to do them good.
Right.
When somebody speaks evil of you, I want you to pray for them. When somebody spitefully, meaning on purpose, they're trying to get you, you know they're trying to do it, I want you to love them. And those words are very powerful and transformative. That's why I think, when God has given us his word, they are transformative within us. You can not help but being transformed when you are able to respond in that way, and it's counter to your own flesh and to your own way of responding. And this is so powerful.
I mean, I think in love relationships, we have opportunity to practice suffering wrong in the midst of love.
You taught me that, babe.
So perhaps I said something in the wrong tone of voice and it offended you.
Right.
You can practice suffering wrong because I love you.
Right. Right.
It's clear. So we have that opportunity to practice suffering wrong, which means that you don't now, because you didn't like my tone.
Right.
Now you use a tone with me.
Right.
So that's revenge.
To make it even.
Make it even. Right. You jab me, I jab you, And so instead we can practice suffering wrong here where it's safe, so that when we are faced with those that don't mean us well, that we can respond properly.
Well, the interesting thing is that we a lot of times don't recognize that what you just said about the people who love us. We still respond those ways, those 50-50 ways that you hurt me, I hurt you, even with people that we know love us.
Right. Which is unacceptable.
What you said is that it's the opportunity, it's the testing ground for us to do it in a safe place with people that love you. And that's why a lot of times the people that we love can hurt us the most.
Right.
Because we don't believe that they could do something to hurt us, but people that love us can do something. They can do things that hurt us, whether they meant to do it or they did not mean to do it.
Right.
But the issue is that that's still practice ground, because ultimately you know that they love you.
That's right.
You know that they love you. They might be shared it in a very distorted way. And usually, as you remember the awareness wheel, you look at people's intentions, their thoughts, their feelings, their actions. You can trace their actions back to their intentions. And so what I always say is that somebody is trying to do something for themselves. They're trying to do something that they have assessed within them is valuable, precious, and important on some level. And so it gets distorted as you go through those other places on the awareness wheel. When you get to their thinking and to their feeling, by the time it gets to behavior, it's been so distorted, and the frequency has been distorted by the time
unrecognizable.
Right. You can't recognize it when you get there.
But vengeance is not really ours. It's not for us to manage. When we do that, then everybody's, what do they say? Everybody's blind. An eye for an eye leaves everybody blind.
Right. That's Martin Luther King said, if you take an eye for an eye, everybody ends up being blind.
That's right.
And Jesus said a similar thing. If the blind follow the blind, they both fall into the ditch. So if you both are doing a situation where you're trying to take out each other's eye, you're both blind. You're in a ditch.
That's right. And that's why God takes vengeance away from us.
Right.
Because if not, then the world would be destroyed.
Right.
So we have to take it out of our homes, out of our hearts, out of our ways, so that we're not doing those things to one another.
Right. Right.
And you said that in the light, darkness has to flee.
Right.
But you know how there's different levels of light?
Yes.
There's you like dimmers. There's some lights have dimmers on them.
Right.
And we decide on whether we want it dim or we want it bright. And in the brightness of the light, you can see all the blemishes. You can see all the spots. And if you like it dim and you want it dim during certain moments where you just want some revenge or you want to identify the 50, you want to have a moment of counting. Have a moment of counting. You just slide that dimmer down. And it's comfortable to do more things when in the dimness of the light.
Oh, in the dimness of the light.
But it's important that we strive for the brightness.
Right. Yeah, we do have a tendency to be comfortable. Like I was thinking, this was one of my thoughts today. Most of us, and the scriptures bear this out, it says that we, in our consciousness, we know good and evil. So it says that in Romans chapter 2. That we know in our conscious minds, we know when something's right and wrong. And we will dim our own light.
Right.
Because the brightness of the light of truth illuminates and reminds us of our wisdom that God has given us. He says he's given this intrinsically about right and wrong. And so we dim the light, and the dimming of the light is justification.
Yep.
So we will, by justifying and talking ourselves out of what we know is right, we begin to dim the light so we don't have to see our truth. Ooh, I just said something. We don't have to look at our truth. So we dim, as the analogy, the mirror that my wife gave, we dim the light. And that dimming is excuse, is justification, to the point that you're so dim in the light, you will reframe. That means you will change. You will pervert the very truth that you knew when you had the light fully on. And you have to keep the light dim to walk in that lesser and many times false truth, because if you really allow the light to come in again, it would remind you again of what you know.
Right.
That's I love that analogy.
Right. You know, they call them Hollywood lights, those big bright lights that you use to put on makeup.
Right.
So you can see where the blemishes are.
Right.
So that when the light gets that bright, you can see where every wrinkle and pucker and dot and every blemish, you can see it.
Right.
But if you don't see it, then you can't deal with it.
Right.
So you put that light dim and you see less to deal with.
Sure.
So it's more comfortable to see less to deal with.
That's true. Less to deal with. That's powerful. Yep. Because if it's dim light, I mean,
I look good in the
dim
dim
light.
light.
That's why people like when they go out someplace and they're dancing. They like the dark and the lights flashing, because everybody look better.
Right.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So I want to remind you, some of you who have joined us, and I'm going to talk to my family in a minute. We'll give you a couple more things. I just want to remind you that you can share right now. If you go to the left-hand corner of your device and hit share, that will send a blast out to the folks that you know and let them know that you're being blessed and that you're here with us on Advice for Life. It's important because we only get the word spread by you. And I love when you do the hearts and the thumbs up, and any of your reactions that you hit on those codes just really help us know that you are with us. And when you hear something that really blesses you, to do that. And I'm reminding the people who are tuned in, if you're listening right now, come on, chat. I mean, put a comment. We won't really be able to acknowledge you and know you're there unless you put a comment. So come on, I see the hearts. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we have some other folks joining us as we went on. And this is Nefertari. Parker, nice. Terry, how you doing? I'm glad that you joined us. I don't remember you joining us before, but we're so happy to get. See, she says, "Hey, family, I came to look at your face." Oh, I think I know who that is. Yeah, hey. That is, and then Andrea joined us. Laura joined us.
Laura.
She just had a swinging vacation. I know she is just, she's in her world right now. And then Christine Lyons.
Hey, cousin.
Hey, I'm watching you guys. Khadijah Boyd came.
Hi, big sis.
Yep, she jumped off the truck. You know, she's driving that big old tractor trailer, that 50,000 wheeler. And she jumped on. She's in love with all your heart and your mind. Nice, nice. And then she says, don't let anyone steal your joy. That's a nice word, Khadijah. Placidus said, character is revealed when you love the unlovable. Woo!
That's the truth.
Wow, what a statement. I'm going to use that one, Placid. That's beautiful. Character is revealed when you love the unlovable. And Khadijah, you know, she's going to be rough with it, this New York style. Kill them with kindness. They hate that. Yes, absolutely. I see the smiles, the hearts, the laughter. And yep. And then, of course, people always find a good reason to do the wrong thing. That was Khadijah also giving comment. So look, the rest of you, come on, join in. I want you to make comments. I want you to give us your feedback, your interaction as part of this dynamic. And also if you have questions, you can ask us questions. Again, you can go on our website, which is www.advice4life.us. All of our podcasts that you can listen to are on there, and also an array of all our videos. Go on our YouTube channel. I really want you to go on YouTube. And if you like what you're seeing on YouTube, I need you to send it out to your friends, family, and the people that you know. Let them know, listen to this. If it blesses you, send it out through YouTube, because we're about to move the major part of our format to YouTube, even though we'll still be on Facebook Live, but we're going to also have the majority of it on YouTube. So that's coming up. And that told this thing to never close, and it's still closed. That's pretty amazing. And it shut down. So yes, I think I got Christina and Joanna. Hey, Joanna. Good to join you. It's good. I haven't heard a seed for you for a while, so it's good to have you. Thank you for joining. Such a blessing. So we've been talking about this dynamic that really all of us in all relationships have to deal with, the fact that, you know, when we feel wronged, when we feel like things are not quite even Steven. And we feel like we're giving 150% and the other person's giving 30%. Now, believe me, I don't want to say that there's not a place to examine equity in a relationship, because at some point people give messages by how they respond in relationship. People are giving you a sense of where they're at, but that's really a gauge for you to begin to enter in, and for you is an opportunity for you to demonstrate something. So when that person is saying, I'm giving 150%, the question is, you are doing the right thing.
That's right.
I mean, you're in the right place, because when me and my wife were, you know, talking and dating or whatever, I think we even said this, we talked about it, that it wasn't going to be 50-50, that it was going to be 150 versus 150, that we both were going to give our all. But my all and my giving of all is not dependent on her giving her all.
That's right.
Because if my all is dependent on what she's doing, if what I do is dependent on her, this is what me and my wife call this gauging. See, what will happen is that my wife's always on time. And a lot of you know that. A lot of you know, if you've been watching the show, my wife got this real time thing. And I have this relationship with being leisurely late.
Oh, Lord.
Only if it's like a important, emergent, business related. Other than that, like, I'm not trying to be focused on time. So let's say we're going to a, event, like a family event, or, going over her brother's house for Easter dinner. Mm-hmm. I don't have a relationship with rushing around to be on time. Of course, she doesn't have to rush because she has this way of planning herself out because she has to be on time. But because I don't have to be on time, I don't do that. Okay, I'm gonna get off of that. So what'll happen if I see her kind of slow her roll, or I'm trying to predict, I'm watching her, I'm watching how she's moving, I'm saying, okay, it's about this time, but she don't look like she really is almost done. So what I'll do is I'll kind of gauge my getting ready based on what I see her doing. And she hates that. You don't like that, do you?
I have no opinion on that.
Yes, you do. You got a lot of...
I don't believe in that.
Okay.
I believe in doing what I'm supposed to do because I'm supposed to do it.
Yes.
Has nothing at all to do with what anyone else in my surroundings are doing.
You're right. You're right.
I don't allow other people to change me.
That is the subject matter.
Yeah.
That is the subject matter.
Yeah.
And so you're right. I gauge in those situations. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm sure she has her gauging moments too, but I'm saying in general, we don't gauge when we're trying to manifest, because this is what's so powerful. God says that when we respond a certain way, and I'm going to read that in a moment, that we become perfect as he is perfect. Now, a lot of people say, I'm not perfect. I don't mean that you do everything right. I don't mean perfection from you doing everything absolutely right. What I mean, the word perfect is really translated as mature, complete. And so you become more mature and more complete when you respond like our Father, which he's saying he's telling you, don't return evil for evil. Mm-hmm. Don't respond because don't let your response be dependent on somebody else's response. You respond because it's in your heart. It's what you know is right to do. Your light, your goal is for your light to be fully on and fully bright, and be aware of your own truth and your own reality, your own manifestation. And God will be faithful to make sure that gets reflected in any relationship that you're dealing with. So I think that's really important and valuable to gauging.
It's like giving 100% is in a relationship is either who you are or it's not. And when it's not, then it is time for change.
Right.
So the other person in the relationship should not be able to change who you are or who you desire to become.
Yes.
The goal is always going to remain the same, mm-hmm. to give your 100%. Right. And there are many reasons why people don't give their 100%, and most of them are based on fear. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid to be taken advantage of.
Right.
I'm afraid to seem vulnerable more so than I want to, that I'm more comfortable, not being as vulnerable. If you give your 100%, then you expect some praise, maybe that hey, you're giving 100%, and I appreciate that, or that they at least notice it. When it's not noticed,
right? That's big.
Then perhaps you chagrin and don't want to give your 100% anymore because it's not being appreciated.
Right.
So we don't give 100% to be appreciated. We don't give 100% to be identified or noticed. We give 100% because that is what is part of us. That is who we are. Mm-hmm. That's why we give 100%.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we reveal a lot to ourselves when we have an expectation that somebody has to be grateful for what we have decided to do, right. Living up to the power of your own choice.
That's right.
And your own discriminate. So if you live up to the power of your own choice, that's one of the things we talk about here on Advice for Life. When you live up to the power of your own discrimination, your own choice, it doesn't matter what somebody else does with it. Actually, the only person that it should matter to you is that God sees that you are living up to the power of what you know and what your insight, your level of wisdom and revelation and his knowledge. That you're living and walking as a vessel who's committed to responding regardless of what somebody else is saying, regardless of what somebody else is doing. You're doing it because it's in you. And if you're looking for praise or you're looking for attention or you're looking for recognition, Jesus says you already have your thanks.
It's true.
So as soon as you look for it, he says, you got your thanks. You don't need my thanks because, you're looking for the thanks someplace else. And so, and when we talk about the financial series, that's going to be a very important principle that I'm going to point out. You're going to hear me hit that. You might get sick and tired. You might stop listening to me when I break it down to you about that whole principle of sowing and reaping and how you are doing things, and you have to remain and be aware in your awareness wheel and be clear about your intentions and not do things with a motive that's different than what you really intend. So by the time it gets up to your behavior, you're fussing at somebody for not thanking you, but your real intention was to bless them. Your real intention was to make sure they were all right. But by the time your thinking and your feelings got attached and twisted up with it, it comes wounded and limping into the behavior realm as fussing at somebody because they didn't appreciate what you did. So that's part of that whole thing about awareness. And I think that's important as we look at that. I want to share the scripture. This is really powerful and important. Matthew chapter 5, verse 38. Jesus said, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth." So it was actually in the Old Testament, it was like that. It's like if a person stole something, their hand was cut off. If if you killed somebody, you got killed. It was like everything was a direct response to what you did. Tit for tat. But he said, you've heard this. He said, but I say to you, do not resist the evildoer, but whoever strikes you on the right cheek, turn the other to him as well. And if someone wants to sue you, now I did not all this time. I'm reading the scripture. If someone wants to sue you, I always thought he said that if someone wants to take from you, and I think, there's in another chapter other than Matthew, it says that, but I never caught this sue. He says, if anyone wants to sue you and take your tunic, which is your a piece of clothing, your covering, your cape, give him your coat also. So that's amazing. Like I said, that's so counterintuitive. Like if you try to take from me, my natural reaction is to either try to take from you or to do something. It doesn't. My natural reaction is not to give you more because you took from me. Like maybe somebody out there, maybe there's some folks up there that's with us in our family. I just know that's not my. I have to resist when somebody takes something from me to not want to retaliate to take back. Did you have something you want to say with that?
No, I think that what you're saying is so true. It's not our natural response to give somebody more. It is our response to resist. That's why he specifically said, "Don't resist." Right. When someone's coming to rob you, your response is no. To
right. That's
pull it back.
Pull it back.
To resist, but he's identifying not to resist.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I'm being convicted right now because I'm just thinking, if somebody tried to take my gold necklace or my ring, like I would have a fight response, and it seems logical. It makes sense to do that. And so that's why it's so powerful. That's why growing in a level of spirituality, growing in what Christ is really saying in the word is so deep, because it goes against our natural tendency. But God is faithful. He will bless you when you're able to follow that. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, it says go with him too. Give to the one who asks you, and do not reject the one who wants to borrow from you. I'll skip through that. That's a whole story. We're going to talk about that. But that's a powerful dynamic of how you respond to people. But there's some other scriptures that balance that out as well. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbors and hate your enemies. But I say to you, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be like your Father in heaven, since he causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends his rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. Meaning that whether you follow God or you don't follow God, he's still going to allow his sun. He still allows his love to be available. He still provides.
Still watering the grass.
Still watering. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Even the tax collectors and those who do wrong, don't they do the same? And if you only greet your brothers, what more do you do? Even the Gentiles do good to those that do good to them. So then be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. And as I said, that word perfect is mature.
Wow. You know, I believe that when we're in a relationship with someone, I think we can manage that a lot easier. Giving our other cheek. We can do that. When you're talking about an enemy, a combatant, I mean, we go to war.
Yeah.
We go to war.
I think sometimes it's hard to do it with the people that's closest to you.
It's not easy, but it's easier.
Yeah, it's easier. Yeah, it's definitely easier. But I think that it's easier in one sense, and in one sense it feels a little harder because you don't feel like you should have to do that with that person.
Right. You have expectations. I think those expectations are the things that have us counting.
Talk about that.
The expectations. If I cook a meal,
right,
I'm expecting that you're going to be home at this hour, sitting down in a specific spot that I have selected, to eat this particular meal, and that's a lot of expectation all around a piece of chicken.
Right.
I mean, it's true. It's a lot of expectation in relationships, and when we don't live up to those expectations, then we start counting.
Right.
And you can't count. You can't count. You have to do everything from your heart, from your spirit, and towards the Lord. If you do those things towards the Lord, then the person's response doesn't wound you as much. It's not as penetrating.
And you're because it doesn't mean you don't deal with it.
No.
It just means that what's going on inside you and your motive and intention for dealing with it is different.
Right.
Than when you're coming from pain, or you're coming from obligation, or you're coming from expectation.
Then you need to be quiet.
Right, because then your approach is going to manifest something totally different.
It's going to be angry or disturbed,
at least,
and some frustration or something like that.
Right.
And I always believe that you need to calm your nerves and make certain that you know the goal before you speak, because the goal has to be that they're meeting God's expectation, not our expectation.
Right. Right.
It has to be God's expectation. And if it's a little gray area that, God doesn't care if he likes chicken or not, you might want to back down on that one.
I don't think God cares about chickens for some reason. I mean, there's a lot of chicken sold in this world. So he may look at that. Oh, now you're going to give me hearts and thumbs up. Now, look at all these hearts. There's a lot of chicken sold in this world.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of chicken. So
yeah, and I think when you're counting, then you're wasting that time that you should be giving.
Right.
You should be giving, and we need to really be more grateful towards the Lord for even having someone to cook chicken for.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, baby.
there are many in this world that don't have people to cook chicken for.
That's right. Yep, by themselves.
By themselves, exactly.
So I see the laughter, I see the thumbs up, I see the hearts. Did you want to say anything else, baby, about that part?
No, go for
No,
it.
I mean, did you? No,
I'm good.
Okay. So look, y'all. You know, we're coming down to our time. There's a lot more we probably could give with this, but we got a certain amount of time. Love that you have participated. I just want to read some more comments and give you some more information so you know it. I'm going to go further down because I read those. Inna joined us. So
Hi,
Inna,
Inna.
hey, good to see you, Inna, with us. And Christine said, my pastor's motto is love ain't love until you give it away.
I know that's right.
That's right. Until you give it away. And love ain't love until somebody smacks you on the cheek and you can still love them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I see the hearts. Hey, that's Rhoda. Yes, she's there. She said this is so darling. This is actually my one of my dear cousins. She says, how many years has my cousin been talking about love to the family? That's what he loves, and we love him. Oh, that's precious. Aww. Thank you. Now that's an advice for my life right now.
Yes,
that was
a blessing.
Really a blessing. Deborah Allen joined us. Laura Goff joined us. Mark joined us. Wanda Tyler. Hey, Wanda. Thanks for joining.
Hi.
Remember, hit that share button even before we go. Let people know that you've been with us. If you hit that share and share to your whole community, people will know. We say share, it's fair. We need you to promote the show. We're glad that you're with us. Of course, Jet, the Jet is with us, and Don Wayne Bass. Oh, nice. That's another family member joining. Good to see you. Good that you're here. Abiba says, amen. God's expectation is first, not your own. And Abiba, we've been praying for you and your family and loss of your uncle. So be blessed, my sister. Jet said good stuff. Stacy coming in. She's bringing her voice. She says, we have to develop a spirit of excellence. In order to accomplish that, we have to relinquish control. And that's the problem.
And
now, Stacy, you have landed on our landing spot.
Absolutely.
That we find it difficult to release control because we can control the 50-50. We feel like we can control the 50-50. And the bottom line is that we don't control. In fact, I'll tell you this. This is my statement. Control is an illusion.
It is.
Is an illusion that we perpetrate in order to feel comfortable about our situation, and many times to put us in a position where we don't have to depend on God.
Or trust God.
Right.
Because when we have control, then we are denying Him.
Right.
Even though we'll say that we believe in Him, we don't trust Him in certain areas, especially with those that we love the most.
Right.
It's very difficult to relinquish that control when you know that person can wound you.
Right. And they have wounded you. And it's been tough. And it ain't easy.
Right.
So we're not talking about, some things are just hard, and I like what the one thing that President Obama said. He said, hard things are hard. He had that on his desk. Hard things are hard. Some things are hard.
Yes.
And but we can overcome it. We can become the light. We can be and manifest a very powerful thing when we go counter to our flesh, counter to our nature, to try to return evil for evil, or only try to do good to those who do good to us. Mm-hmm. But we flip that. We do what Jesus said in the scriptures, that we do good to those who spitefully use us, and that we don't always try to find a way to make things even, that we are comfortable. We relish in, we find comfort and joy in the fact that we are having our light bright walking in the truth that we know and giving 150%, expecting nothing in return, expecting no praise, no glory, no rewards. We are doing and walking in the brightness of our light and in our truth, that the truth that God has revealed.
In the spirit of excellence, as our cousin Stacy said.
In the spirit of excellence, and relinquish that control. So I saw the thumbs up. Do I see any hearts? And more thumbs up and hearts. Look, every Tuesday at 8:30, you can join us here. Don't miss us. We'll be back next week. We're going to have our new format that we're going to show to you. A new filming format. I tried it out a couple of weeks ago. We're going to start it back. Thank you for the thumbs up and the hearts. And remember, you can go on our website, advice4life.us. Listen to our podcast and our other programs. Go on YouTube and send it out there, y'all. Share it. Let people know that you're blessed by this. It is always a blessing to have you, to share with you. Thank you so much for your encouragement. And we will be back. You do not want to miss the upcoming programs. My couples are going to be coming together in a couple of weeks. And you are not going to want to miss this. It's going to be so dynamic, beautiful, wonderful. And you'll be able to hear from a whole array of wisdom that will come to you. God bless you. And we will see you next week, Tuesday at 8:30. Advice for Life. Peace.
Bye.